Welcome everybody to another edition of The Life Between All or Nothing with your hosts, Scott J. and Mary Kay. As you see, it's just Scott J. tonight. Mary Kay had something come up and she's going to either join us later or she'll catch up with us again next week. But she's just, hey, we all have it happen. You have your best laid plans and then all of a sudden something comes along and you've got to do something different. But the cool part of this is today is that we have the perfect guest for just such an occasion, somebody who knows how to handle things and knows how to handle herself. She is an author of the book, Find Your Fabulous, and love yourself on the inside, look great on the outside. And this is just such a great book. And I'm going to read you this. Sometimes we have little bios and different things we read, but as far as Debbie Bettendorf, I found this, and this is a review of her book, and I thought this explains kind of who we're going to be talking to really well. And this is a review by somebody who just read the book and wanted to say something. It's such a fun book filled with inspiring words and advice to build self-love and confidence. I love the author's handwritten notes throughout, along with her ability to help us find our fabulous through her ability or through self-reflection and more positive inner dialogue. The perfect blend of fashion, advice, and encouragement. This would make a great gift, uplifting and delightful, of feel-good read. That's a great review from somebody who reads a book like that and to come out. So without further ado, I'm really excited to introduce Debbie Bettendorf.
Hello, Scott.
Hello, Debbie. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Or maybe I should say fabulous. I'm so glad to be here and that you asked me to join you. You know, I feel so comfortable with you. We do Tuesday night with the group. So as we all see it, so it feels like home to me here.
It feels like home, and you did me the honor of allowing me on your show one time, and I was able to tell a little bit of my story. Now I'm paying back the favor and going to embarrass you. No, I'm just kidding. But
I'm okay.
No, but you're right. We are part of this kind of a brother and sisterhood of podcasters that we've started to link together with. And the truth is, with your podcast called Find It, Wednesday nights?
Wednesday night, every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. a different guest every week, and I've been having a blast with it. I love it.
8 p.m. What is the
Eastern?
Where are you though? That's
Eastern.
Oh, it's
Eastern
8 p.m. Eastern. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a great show to check out. And after you talk to her today and listen to her and hear the conversation, I know we'll have people checking it out left and right. So that's really important. If I do freeze up for a moment or two, we're just going to keep going, Debbie, because there are some storms out in Florida. Once again, we are getting storms. It's supposed to clear up and be a beautiful weekend. Thank God. So let's get started. First of all, Find Your Fabulous. Was your first venture into doing things the writing of the book?
So, no, the first venture into doing things was starting this little image consulting business called Find Your Fabulous. So from starting that, yes, and working with mostly women for several years, then note taking, and I'm a journal. I love to write in my journal, and I had already written a lot of stories about interactions with women when we do, when I work with them on finding the right clothes for them to wear, or going into their closet and figuring out what works or what doesn't work for them any longer. And it's really a personal thing. And when someone lets you into their home and into their closet, and you're helping them find what looks good and what doesn't really any longer. And then they get vulnerable with me, and we would have a lot of really great conversations about how they feel in the clothes. And so even when I started the business, it was about trying to make people feel amazing in the outfits that they were wearing. And then it very quickly, even though I think in the back of my mind, I mean, I've always known this for sure, that it doesn't matter what you wear. If you aren't a good person or you don't like yourself, you're not going to really own your outfit, because really what you see in someone is kind of what they exude from the inside out. And I think we all kind of know that. But I
Right.
really got a dose of understanding how much that's true when I started working with women and realized that confidence, self-esteem issues, a lot of things would come up because most of the people I worked with already kind of knew how to dress. We would have some people who would be like, I don't know what goes together, teach me. And that's fun too. But then there were other people who had a beautiful lineup of clothing and that looked amazing on them. They just didn't really feel like they looked that good in it. And that's a confidence issue. That after years of doing that, as a side gig, really, it wasn't ever full time, really made me think I should write a book about this. And so I took a lot of my journal entries and I have some short stories. And then I have little quotes that I would say to my clients and that I have said to my kids and that I say internally to myself. And I wanted the book. So that spurred the book called Find Your Fabulous. And it's love yourself on the inside, look great on the outside. So it doesn't even matter what you wear. And I've even written in the book, you can dress up a turd, but it's still going to stink. So you need to figure out what's going on inside, and so, and I loved it. And I worked with men too, but it's so funny to me because I think, and I don't know if it's just people putting up a front, men in general, they always think they look good. It's usually the wife that would call me to come in and help them, but they're like, dude, I look good already. This is good.
Yeah, I know. Guys just have no sense of that sometimes. And I'm curious though. I mean, for me personally, I know when I'm not feeling good about myself, I don't dress the same as when I feel good about myself.
Oh my
And,
God.
I'll dig out, I'll wear like no colors. I'll wear no, I'll keep it very, very, because I almost want to blend in. But when I feel good about me, my colors get loud and I get different. But let me ask you this though. When did you make that connection? Because it's easy to talk about looking good on the outside or feeling good on the inside. But when did you make that connection about how important it is to have both? Was that
Yeah.
was that early in your life or was that later?
Yeah, that's really awesome that you're asking me that because I've always been raised with really solid parents that would always want me to invest on who I am as a person. And my mom would always say, "Looks don't last forever, honey. You better have something on the inside." And I'd be
Nice.
like, "You're so right." And so with that upbringing partnered with I've not always been 100% confident and 100% secure in who I am or where I'm going with myself or whatever. One thing I've always known about me is that I genuinely care about people. And but there have been times where I'm not really sure how much I cared about myself because I feel like I was always a giver more so and a people pleaser. And so later, as I got older and my kids started growing up, I started deciding that I really need to investigate who I am and where I move forward from there. Meaning, I had these children that I raised and they were my whole entire world. And then they got older and the next chapter started and I didn't really know where I was going. So I think that there are times there's a disconnect in our life where we're going along and we're busy and we're loving our life. And then all of a sudden things change and you're trying to shift and you're trying to get on the right path again. And sometimes that takes some self discovery and some
Mhm.
self awareness and reflection. And that was part of the journey of starting the Find Your Fabulous side gig. And then to answer your question even a step further, when I started working with these women and saw some insecurities and some self esteem issues, I started realizing and seeing them in myself.
Mm.
And so that then really made me start to meditate, pray more, take notes about how I feel in a moment, like why do I feel like this? And that then helped me write some of the entries that I put in the book. The book's an easy read. You can read it in 45 minutes. I did that on purpose because it's mostly geared toward women and it's busy moms. It's career women. It's people that might just want to pick it up and look at one page and get something from it and put
Right.
it down and not have to read anymore. So that was purposefully done that way. But there are times we have to talk ourselves up in a day. If you're getting down, or, you say you don't want to be affected by the words that other people say to you, but the reality is we're human, and there are times it can affect you, make you feel a certain kind of way. And I am on a path, and I am practicing letting that go.
Right.
And I was just talking to my daughter a few days ago, and I said, Tori, at some point you're going to get to the point where when someone says something to you, it's not going to really change the way you feel about yourself, because you're going to know who you are so solidly that it doesn't matter, because you know who you are. If someone, well, you're aggressive, or she's going to be a lawyer, so she kind of is aggressive. She needs to be. But
Perfect.
it's like, who cares? Really, I'm getting way better about not being so affected by the words of other people. And let me say something. You said you dress.
She's agreeing with you, by the way.
That's
Tara's
right,
joined us,
Sarah.
so that's right.
That's right. So you said a few minutes ago that you even dress differently when you don't feel good about yourself.
Yes.
So that's so amazing that you brought that up, because one of the things that I always tell my clients is, and I'll lay out like 7 days of full outfits for them. And I'll say, I don't care if the only place you're going that day is Kroger. You're going to wear this. Wear it, because it works the opposite way as what you're saying too. Sometimes if you're in a low mood and you take a little extra time for yourself and you put something on that is something you like, and it does help you feel better. It really does.
Well,
But
let me speak to that point for a
yeah,
minute, Debbie, because
yeah.
you're making a good point. I want to acknowledge a couple people. Sandy's with us. My mom, Sandy, mom is with us. And
Andy,
hello,
Mama
Scott and
Bear.
Debbie. Joe Ingram's been joining us, and he
Oh.
said Debbie has the same shirt as you.
Yeah,
He also says he was the model for the turd in a shirt.
I
So
love
Joe,
you,
thank
Joe.
you very much, Joe, and other people tuning in. So thank you very much. But
Awesome.
it's almost funny. It's like a dichotomy that they use terms like in the makeup industry that are about hiding who you are.
Mm.
They, when you put something on, it's called a cover up and those kind of things. And you're trying to say the opposite of that. It should not be a cover up. It should be an enhancer of who you are and what you want to bring out. But I think people sometimes they fall into the trap of either makeup or fashion where it's trying to cover what they don't like on the inside. But that's not what you're asking people to do, right?
No, not at all. And so that's a good segue for me to say this. The name of the business and the name of my book is called Find Your Fabulous. It has absolutely nothing to do with clothes, makeup, any of that. I mean, it's a accessory to
Right.
you loving you. That's it. And we all have different ways to find our fabulous. Finding your fabulous can be what you're doing right now, Scott, which, you've gone through a lot in your life and you're recovering, and you're using what's happened to what you did as an addict, alcoholic, and you're recovered and you want to help people. And when you help people, it fills your cup up and you find your fabulous while helping others. That's finding your fabulous.
Right.
And
Right.
for me, I started this podcast called Find It, which isn't find your fabulous, but it can be, because it kind of means the same thing.
Right.
Find It, the podcast, is find something that you're seeking. What is it? We're all looking for something. And for certain, as long as I'm on the planet, I hope I continue to grow, and I'm always trying to find something. I'm not going to ever be done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Victoria has joined us and said, I'm aggressive.
Oh, she heard me. You are. That's a good girl.
My friend and business partner, Karen Hurley,
Hi,
agrees
Karen.
with everything we're saying and says hello. Trudy wants to
Oh,
send out love to
Tempy,
you,
my
Debbie.
favorite. Hi,
Uh,
Trudy.
so, I love this. I love this. You can't have an exterior without the interior. You can't have an interior without an exterior of some kind. I've met a lot of beautiful people, absolutely beautiful on the outside, and seen a whole lot of ugly when they start to talk and express who they are And I've seen, you know what I mean? You've seen that.
Totally.
We've all seen that. I've also seen beautiful people, their soul and their spirit, but they hide, they kind of like almost mask themselves in ugliness or in dishevelment so that they don't have to like connect with other people. It's
Mm,
kind of like that outer
mm,
exterior. And I'm just making guesses at this, Debbie, but I love the concept so much
yeah.
that you know as I discover about myself, what I put on the outside is almost like my doorway into me. And if it's an inviting doorway, then people want to know me and I want to know them. And if it's not an inviting doorway, then I hide from people.
Yeah.
So marrying those things, I can see how wonderful that can be. And I love the idea that you put that together. So it's so important. You're not saying that outer beauty isn't a good thing. You can have outer beauty, but
Yeah.
without the inner beauty, what good is it? Right?
Yes, and I love what you said because and actually Trudy who's tuning in, we always talk about the fact that there are people who, you might not how do you say this without I'm just going to say like someone that you wouldn't turn your head if you're walking by in the street. Not
Yeah.
someone you wouldn't like think, "Oh my gosh, she's gorgeous," or, "Oh, he's hot." But then you talk to them or you get to know them and you're like, "She is gorgeous." And someone's like, "Lucy?" And it's like, "Yeah, don't you think she's gorgeous?" Not really. And then I think, I don't really think I thought she was gorgeous either, but now I got to know her and I think she is stunning. So, it's one of
Yeah,
those things where those are the people who know who they are. And those are the people that aren't afraid to shine. And
absolutely.
you want to be near that. And, so find your fabulous can also be finding your people.
Yeah,
Because when you're around people who build you up and make you feel good and you feel good, you're like loving on each other. You know what I mean? There's so many people out there who are lonely because they haven't connected with their people. They haven't found them yet. And so, find it and finding your fabulous, all of that can be I'm seeking the people who build me up and we invest in one another.
I have to ask because I love the whole thing. I love how it all comes together.
Yeah.
But I got to ask, when you started building this pathway that you're on, your family members, you married with kids, and then the parents, and then the friends. Did anybody look at you and say that's crazy?
Um, I don't no one said that to my face,
to, my, to my face, yeah.
but you get the vibes. You get a
Right,
vibe
right.
from people sometimes like, "What's she doing?" Like, "What is" and it's just one of those things where I probably would have not done I wouldn't have done it years ago because I wasn't in a place where
Sure.
was probably confident enough or was willing to risk and take chances and putting myself out there like that. But now I really don't care because I know what I want to do. And that's a beautiful thing. And it's also healing for me. And it's also a lot of growth for me personally.
Joe says everyone who knows her knows it's better not to tell her, or not to tell her not to do something. It's not a good
That's
idea.
true too.
Yeah.
Maybe
Um,
my daughter gets it honest.
I have to imagine that this is really this kind of thinking. I mean, you're passing this on to your daughters?
Mhm.
Do you just the two daughters? Is that
I
what you
have
have? Or
Dalton. My oldest is my son,
your
and
son? Okay.
then Victoria, who we call Tori, and she's my second born. So I have a older son and a daughter. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
You're passing these things on to your children. Has it like helped your family come closer together? And do they all embrace it the same way you do?
That's a great question. So Dalton's always trying to critique me. He
Yeah.
wants to get he's like but he's not in a negative way, but it's like he's funny. Just like I am sitting on a sofa now because I was always in a little chair propped up at the table. And when I had him on the show, he's like, "I don't want to sit next to you in a chair. That's weird. Like, can we sit somewhere else?" Like, and I was like, "Okay." So just for him, I did this whole new setup. And then afterwards, I'm like, I like it. I like it better. So that's fun. My daughter is over the moon about it. Like she has told me so many times that she has always respected me as a mother, but now watching me grow and take chances and put myself out there and do new things, that she is even more so proud of me. And that, like, I'm saying that without crying, which is amazing because it touches me so much. And it just, and I've really had the support of my family. I think they all do in the beginning wonder, why does she want to do a podcast? I don't understand. But for me, being a social person and being able to, and I'm generally interested in people's stories. I mean, you know that, Scott.
Hmm.
So being able to help other people tell their story and help other people with, just like my podcast last night, this woman had some serious physical, mental, and sexual abuse as a child that continued until she was an adult. And then married a man who was abusive, and then he killed a woman. I mean, it was, and so she started a company, and she just wrote a book, Yet Still I Stand. And I'm like, her now, hopefully you can have her on your, like, her story needs to be told,
Yes.
and she helps people through her company, so that are in these same similar situations. And so how amazing is it, Scott, that you and I can bring people out to share things that other people can identify with and then get them the help that they need. I think that's just incredible.
Absolutely. Our friend Walt with the Warriors podcast there with his wife Steph.
Hey guys.
Another great example of somebody who's bringing that the darkness out,
Yeah.
exposing it to the light, and then living just a fantastic life and
Yeah.
helping people. Victoria's just sharing with us that Victoria does not fit.
Yeah, because we call her
Um,
Tori.
yeah, Tori's more short and aggressive. Yeah. Listen,
Her.
my daughter's name was Cordelia. We never call her that. It was always Cordy. It's just short and aggressive. My son was Julian. He was always Jules. It was never
Oh,
Julian.
that's cool. I
You
love
know,
that.
of course, we had the nicknames Giuliano Paisano and Juju Man, and then Cordy was Cordy Chicken Boardy. So
Oh,
we
cute.
had all these great
We
names
do
for
that too,
them.
and even with the dogs. I mean, they're never by their actual name. It's
Yeah,
always
yeah.
something else.
Exactly, and my wife, God rest her soul, when we were before the addiction took our lives from us, we were very dedicated to just the happiness of our kids and everything. But unfortunately, that fell away, and she has lost the ability because she passed away to have that relationship that you now have
Yeah.
with your daughters and stuff. And I like the fact that I like the way you said that, because it's like they could love you as a mother and respect you as a mom, but when they start to respect you as a human being and what you do, that's a whole different level of understanding between you and your kids, isn't it?
Oh, it really is, and that's also a very beautiful way of putting it, because it did touch me very a lot, and to say she respects me as a businesswoman too. And
Right.
so, I don't know, it's not like I need that to validate what I'm doing, but it feels really good, and it warms my heart knowing that she feels that way. So it's just an extra little layer of special stuff for me, doing what I'm enjoying and also having their support.
So you are working with people one on one. Why would somebody come to you? What kind of circumstance? Because I think let's be honest, most people who are in a troubled situation don't understand that they're troubled, or they can't put their finger on what exactly is wrong. There's just usually this overall malaise that covers them, that they don't
Mhm.
know what's wrong with them. So what could you say to people out there, especially maybe some women who are out there who are
Mm,
like looking for something, but they're not sure you're the
yeah.
person they should talk to?
Yeah.
What can we
Well,
say?
this is my advice about that is this. It's amazing to me how many years of one can live, and let's just use women as example. Let's just say women, that we can live how many years and then get old enough to have adult children and really not know who we are. Meaning, you, especially for women, and the reason I'm saying that is because I am one and I've been there and I understand it. So it's almost like you kind of think you know who you are as a teenager, but it's also molding with the crowd just to get along because you want to fit in. But
Right.
then you get a little older and you get married and you have kids, and then your identity is sort of like the mom, the wife, you're raising these children and you're involved with them. And then all of a sudden you're in a place where you're like, who am I? I haven't had time to really think about it. So everyone's scenario is different. This can be for women who have never been married, don't have children, but busy career women who just are the career woman, and they're being self-aware enough to realize, okay, what do I enjoy? Even that little question. If you can't answer a handful of things that you know for sure brings you joy, that's something you need to think about. What helped me was journaling and meditating. I am a high strung person. So meditating took a long time for me to get in the practice. But I knew, and from reading and watching other podcasts of people who teach this, and they say, just stay still for 1 minute. And when your mind shoots away, come back. Yoga is amazing. And during this time of silence and quiet time, to quiet your mind enough to know, to listen to what's going on inside. And doing that a couple of times a week, yoga, meditating a little bit every day, journaling. And this is huge, especially for women. And that is making sure that every single day you carve out just a little bit of time to do something you enjoy. I don't care if that's making a hot cup of tea and reading a chapter in a book alone by yourself, taking a brisk walk, going to go work out, doing, I don't know, whatever, working in your garden by yourself, alone time, doing things that you enjoy, that will fill up your own cup. And just getting in touch with who you are is such, and I've talked to so many different people who have found themselves in different ways. I don't know what will help each person. They can only do that for themselves, but I can guide them into, and it's so crazy that I started out with clothes, fashion,
Yeah.
and the session would always turn into other things, and I would never repeat it. I'm not that type of person too. I believe that if someone gives me something and confidence, I feel so grateful that they trust me that way that I would never repeat it. And so, finding your tribe and having one person you can talk to unload some of your stuff. And if you don't have that person, go pay for one. Go to a therapist and talk out and find yourself along the way. Because I'm telling you, you can't fully love other people if you don't love yourself. And if you don't know yourself, you don't know if you like yourself or love yourself or not. I love meeting people who are just their authentic selves. You can tell they know who they are.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if they're quirky or different, or I love that. If we're all different and unique, and be you. It's really cool to see.
You said so much there. I'm going to try to unpack a few things here because I found it to be really important. You were talking about the stages people kind of go through, and that's thanks to you and a few of our other friends out there. I am in the process of developing a book that I'm going to write. And yes, I know, but
we can't make our joke anymore. Darn it.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's going to take a while. You still got plenty of time to make fun of me.
Okay.
And I'm sure I'll come up with something else between now and then.
Maybe.
But one of the things that's the core of this book is that this identity crisis that we all go through, which goes in stages. As a child, you're formed by what your parents tell you you're supposed to be, and your teachers tell you what you're supposed to be, and you're in Mr. Rogers on TV or Sesame Street tells you this is what you're supposed to be. And of course, you're not making decisions on your own. You're just basing yourself on this is this. As a teenager, it becomes much more about the tribe of teenagers that you're around. What am I going to dress like? What am I going to act like? How am I supposed to talk to people? Who am I supposed to be? You hit your 20s and then into your 30s, and it's the media that's telling you the kind of job you should have. It's the family time.
It's the family time. I got you. I'm still here. You're frozen.
All right, I'm back now.
You're back.
Okay. It's all of those things that you're getting in your 20s and 30s. It's the influence of everyone else. And then what happens is you hit your 40s, 50s, 60s. And at any point during that time,
let's guess what he's saying right now. at any point in time, come back to us, Scott. Don't you guys love him though? He is so impactful. And he has the best voice. It's like radio voice. I just love it. Scott Jones, you're still frozen. Here's my book. I'm planning on writing another one that it's a little bit more meaty. Let's see. Hey kids, Christopher Rausch is on here. Hey, Christopher Rausch. Thanks, Joe, for coming on. Thanks, Trudy, for being here. Tara, thank you so much. I love it. Sandy. Let's see who else. Joe is such a Joe. Joe just said he went to go find it. That's awesome. Yeah, so you guys, I'm going to take this opportunity. You got to follow me on my YouTube channel. Please do that. Look me up and contact me if you know of people, or if you perhaps would want to be on the show. You have a good story, or finding something, you already found something that you can share with my audience. That would be amazing. I would love to have you. I wish I had some products here to show you, some stuff to, it's not going to help you find your fabulous, but it's a little, the fun products that I use is a little like extra to help you feel a little good. That's what I want to say too. It's, it's not about the clothes, but it kind of is. It's not about the makeup, but it kind of is. It just helps you feel better about yourself. Science proves that if you take a little extra time for yourself, you get a glimpse of yourself in the mirror, you feel like, I took time for myself. That's good. Just like making your bed. Start by making your bed. Okay, Scott, you dropped off when you said in your 40s, and then family were telling you.
So pretend I didn't go anywhere. I'm going to tell you right now, I had switched a week ago from Comcast to AT&T fiber, and it's supposed to be perfect. And the damn thing, it still kicks out at certain times. I'm going to have some words with them tomorrow. But for tonight, let me finish my thought. As a child, parents, as a teenager, your friends, as a young person in the 20s and 30s, you're influenced by media and standards in your society of what you're supposed to be, the job you're supposed to have. But in your 40s and 50s, especially in your 50s, you stand up, look around and say, why am I living this life? This isn't me. At one point, you start to finally listen to the inner you. Now, some people can do it early in their life, and I applaud those people. But Debbie, are you finding a lot of people
oh my gosh,
are finding this stuff later? I mean, they're looking around saying, why am I living this life? This isn't me.
Well, if you look at even who I've had on my podcast, the majority of the people are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And they're the ones who want to come forward and talk about what they have found. And so many of them didn't really start the career path that they were passionate about until they were in their 40s, which is shocking, because if you go back, like in our parents' day, you would just work that same job until you die.
Right.
And now it's even so, with that old mindset, people are still jumping ship saying, no, you know what? I want to do something that I am passionate about, that I don't want to just retire and go to sit in a rocking chair. I want to do this, this, and this. And just like, I want you to talk about, and I am not the host, but I want you to tell people, because
you were for a few minutes there while I went away. You were the host for a few minutes.
And I was like, what are we going to talk about? But I want you to tell this audience, because I want this said on when I'm a guest here. What are you doing right now? What company did you just create, and what is it for?
All right. Before I do that, let me acknowledge some people that jumped in real quick. Chris Rausch is with us, our good friend Chris Rausch. Debbie Rausch, kick-ass sister. Heather Bryant with us. Get the book, everybody. Joe Ingram is commenting that the last few minutes were the best of the show. That's when I was off the air. Joe, thank you very much. There's somebody I could scratch off my list of future guests. And finally, Sandy, my mom, is saying, during the years of working and raising children, there just never seemed to be time for self-reflection. Now having that time, it's been so amazing to really figure out who I am and understand my own reactions to life. So
I love that.
And that's, I think, a trap most people get in. But as you were saying, yes, I have Addiction Training Center. We also have One Brother, One Sister, our nonprofit company. and of course Sober Life Art that we're doing in Sober Life Studios. The Addiction Training Center, it's all based on getting information and education to people on how to deal with addiction and mental health in our communities, in our workplaces, in our homes, and our families. So we train people nationally to become certified as national interventionists. Once you take our course, you are a nationally certified interventionist, and we give you the tools and the support so that if you come across somebody who is struggling or having a problem, you can help them in that moment. What makes us a little bit different is there's many intervention courses and many courses on how to help people that involve long processes where it could take weeks and weeks to get services to people or to even sit and talk with people. But Debbie, that's like walking across a bridge and somebody's about to jump and you saying, I know how to help you, but I'm going to go have dinner first. And when I come back, if you're still here, I'll help you.
Yeah, exactly.
We teach
It's
people,
too late.
you
We're
just reach out
failing
and grab
people.
them. You reach
Yeah.
out, you grab them, you save them. So
But let me ask you this. So this intervention certification, is this for people who even like work in school districts and at the schools?
absolutely. This started out, we were working primarily with people who work in the addiction field. And then it became, we started training. We work with Dog the Bounty Hunter, a good friend of ours, and we trained bail agents of bounty hunters. When they bail somebody out of jail, let's get them into treatment instead of letting them hit the streets and use heroin while they're on bail. And we started working with
Wow.
that. We started working with fire and police, and that's when we formed the nonprofit. So when we train first responders, we get donations to pay for their seats. They don't pay. They pay enough with their lives and their courage and everything that they do. They don't need to pay for education. So we get donators, and so that they can help each other on the job and help people who are in crisis while they're out doing their job.
Wow.
And my final goal will be to get this into universities and colleges across the country where they are woefully underserved with addictions and mental health issues.
Yeah.
I've watched people be dismissed from college programs and from university campuses because they didn't have anybody there to handle either their mental health issue or their addiction issue.
Yeah,
And they
that's
said,
so true.
leave school.
And if they don't have, if the students, even though they're college level, they're not, especially if you have mental health issues. And if you don't have family or a support system to help you, you're going to go down that path, and probably
Absolutely.
use because you have mental health issues that you're trying to cover up that pain. And you see it all the time. And you are so right about the analogy of running across a bridge to help somebody to not jump, but then say, hold on just a second. Let me think. Let me go. We need to be able to have systems in place to help people right away. So I so appreciate what you're doing. And do you have a podcast just for that?
Actually that will be starting up. If all of the podcasts that we do are all on our YouTube channel. And you could go to soberlifestudios.com and it'll take you right to our YouTube channel. But we've had addiction recovery podcasts. We've had podcasts about mental health. We're putting them all under one umbrella of Sober Life Podcasts now, so that, and we will be starting regular shows during the week and pop-up shows whenever we can. We have a studio at the office. I have the studio that's here in my home with the bad internet connection. It's our goal to get as many people not interested, but educated.
Yeah.
There's a phenomenon that happens where people are afraid to help people because they don't want people mad at them. I don't want to say anything because I don't want Bobby to be mad at me if I say something. I don't want to say anything because I don't want Cindy to hate me. And it's like, or not to love me anymore. But I've seen what love can do. Love can kill people. People can be loved to death. That's what happened with my wife and her family. We were separated. I was trying to help as much, but her family loved her to death by giving in too many times to too many.
Oh my God,
too many things.
That's a sad story because you think you're helping and you're just enabling.
And I've seen people, parents and children. And the funny thing is if you're walking across the bridge and the guy's about to jump, we have an instinct to reach out, grab them. We don't stop halfway in the reach and think, well, what if they get mad at me when I grab them? What if they don't like me? Well, good. They can hate me for a long life then. We don't think about it. But when it comes to addictions and mental health, we're afraid. We are
Yeah, but
afraid.
when people tried to help you, did you get mad at them?
Of course I did. Of course I did.
So
But
people need
luckily,
to be educated and understanding that they will be mad at you, but they're not really.
listen, the
So
Coast Guard, the U.S. Coast Guard, some of the most highly trained people on this planet because of the things they have to do, jumping into stormy seas and hurricanes and everything else to save people. And one of the things you're training is when you jump into that water and you reach for that person, you are their only lifeline to be saved, and they will take a swing at you.
yeah.
They will take a
Well, they're
swing at you.
trying to
They're
yeah,
trying to save themselves. They're in a panic. Everything becomes a threat. Your hand on their shoulder isn't like savior. Your hand on their shoulder, they feel like they're being pushed down. They will swing at you. They'll do it. But nowhere in the training does it say if they swing at you, let them drown. It says save them anyway. Grab them.
fine.
It will be okay. And I want to tell people it's the same thing with addiction. They might take a swing at you emotionally, verbally, physically. At the end of the day, if somebody takes a swing at me, I'll get a black eye. I'm going to go home and have meatloaf, watch Jeopardy, and sleep in my bed tonight. They're going to die tonight from their
Oh
addiction.
gosh, you're right.
So we can't be so sensitive to that stuff. But that's education.
Mm.
The information we have is wrong. We are. I know this isn't supposed to be about all me,
No,
but
but I think it's
you,
every time you get the opportunity to educate people, we need to do it.
we're an addicted community. Every time you have a headache, take a pill. You can't sleep, take a pill. You're nervous, take a pill. You have anxiety, take a pill. We are addicted to our society. United
But
States
they
is
think you think it's a quick fix. Like, I'll just take a pill,
yeah.
it's fine. Yeah, and then here we are in the mess that we're in,
I mean,
all in
Debbie,
the
think about it. When you get a cold and your nose starts running, what's the first thing we do? We reach for an antihistamine to dry it up. Our body's trying to expel mucus, which is the disease, the illness. Our body's trying to expel it, and we're saying, "Let me take a pill and just keep that inside of me." That's why
true.
we stay sicker longer in the United States. We're not a healthy society.
No,
We're a sick society because we don't even let our body do the work it's supposed to do.
that's so true.
And then you put on top of that we have 5% of the world's population that lives in the US, but we use 80% of the world supply of painkillers
Right.
right here. We can't even make enough to serve ourselves. We got to get it from other countries because we are so addicted. And so fentanyl come along, people just take it. They have
Yeah.
a thing called Trank, which is like the scariest thing you ever
Oh,
want to
that
hear of.
is
It's
so
amazing
creepy,
what people do.
crazy, where they look like zombies, and I
Yeah,
couldn't believe when I was learning about that. I was like, and at what point does anybody look at people like that and say, "Oh, I want some of that"? Like, what? I mean, I don't understand how we've gotten here. I really don't.
I
It
don't know.
starts with popping pills, like quick fixes.
It's never, you cannot assign sane thinking to an insane problem. Just remember that.
You can't.
This addiction is a problem of insanity. It is an insane thing. And to try to use sane thinking to make it make sense, it doesn't. Because when you have Bobby take a pill and say, "God, that almost killed me last night," and that guy next to him says, "Oh, good, let me try that."
Right.
It's not a sane thought. It's not a sane action, but it's part of what the
Do
disease
you
is.
know that made me think of something? So one of my best friends, police officer, she said that there have been times where they Narcaned someone so, that was basically dead, Narcaned them, and they came back and were angry that they ruined their buzz.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
they were basically dead and was Narcaned back,
Yeah.
and they were, why did you run my buzz? I mean, what? I mean, it's just really bad. I mean, you know, companies like your nonprofit, educating, getting people certified so you can help people not start into that is where it's at. That's why, the anti-drug and educational program that I'm involved with at our city school district, they are trying to educate this age group because a lot of their parents use. So we can't do anything about that in the school district, but we can try to educate the kids so that they make other choices when they leave those four walls of the high school. So hopefully,
Absolutely.
I mean, with everybody pitching in, trying to educate and show and teach and not just be like, don't do that. Don't do that. Well, you know what? Let's show you and educate you And this is why, you make your own educated decision by letting them understand this is what happens. You don't want to live a life like that.
And the more you have that in the schools, which is what you're doing, and I love that. I absolutely love that. The more you have that, the more it destigmatizes things like mental health and other things. And instead of it being the secret that nobody talks about, it's like, okay, depression is a real thing, anxiety is a real thing,
Right.
bipolar is a real thing, schizoaffective disorders are real things, and alcoholism and drug addiction are real things. It's not something we should hide from. It's amazing that somebody can walk down the hallway at school and saying, I had cancer and I beat it. But you're not walking down the hallway saying, hey, I was depressive and suicidal and I beat it. You don't say those things. Maybe we
There's
should.
still so much. I know there's still so much. It's so taboo. Like mental
Yeah.
health issues, people just automatically like, oh, you can't handle your own mind and your thoughts and I mean, it's really bad that
Yeah.
even though I think we've come a long way, like say when I was in high school, I mean, you never heard of it because there were people still struggling back then, but they hid it and were just miserable.
Right.
And it's talked about more, but it's still judged a little bit, of course. But I think we've come a long way, but we still have to educate people about it. And my real so I am involved with that, but I do marketing. So my Schultz and Bettendorf Corporation, which Find Your Fabulous is under that umbrella, but I do marketing for other companies. And so the city school district is my largest client. And I do Jumbotron ads and stuff like that. So I'm sort of like business and also, it's all a business, but I love to do things that involve my heart. And if
Yes.
I feel like I'm making a difference in a positive way, I'm going to hang around. So that's why I'm still doing what I'm doing with the school because I like with the program. I'm really just raising money to help the program continue by selling marketing and advertising. But then I'm involved a lot more because I
But
just believe in it.
even in that role, though, Debbie, you're doing a great service because you're putting a spotlight on a program that should have a
Yeah.
spotlight on it.
Yeah.
People should know about this, and this should be something that's repeatable throughout the country. And as you do with the other stuff, you're allowing people to put a spotlight on themselves and say, listen, it's okay to dress up and make yourself look good for other people to see you, but
And
you
also
know,
for yourself.
let's see what you look like to you in the mirror. That's the big thing.
It is. And
You're the one
also,
holding the mirror up, and I love that.
yeah, and also the fact that, it's okay to want to look nice because that's a
Yes.
little something you're doing for yourself. And that's good to treat yourself nicely, and also with the negative self-talk. I say this all the time. If you're talking negatively to yourself in your mind or out loud at home or whatever, knock it off. I mean,
Yeah.
you wouldn't, who would like you if you talked like that to them? I think a lot of times we're so mean to ourselves with our inner self-talk that if you talk like that to somebody else, they'd think, well, that's rude. Well, we're
Yeah.
rude to ourselves all the time. And, I still catch myself saying things to myself that's not nice. I'm like, why would I don't get it. So, knock it off. Be nice to yourself. You'll be a lot happier of a person and more people will want to be around you because all of that stuff adds up. Just
Absolutely.
shoving stuff down, not communicating, talking negatively to yourself, not caring about, I don't care. And, it always amazes me too, when there's groups of people who may say, I don't care about all that stuff. I don't need cute clothes. I don't want makeup. Well, that's okay. If you really don't, and that doesn't bring you joy, what brings you joy? But
Thank
don't
you.
negative Nancy on the people who do care because that's what they enjoy to make themselves look good and feel good about themselves. What can you do to make yourself happier? What
I
is it?
think it's great. And I think to draw attention to the fact that that I think fashion has gotten a bad rap, whereas, they're just like, they're all little twiggies putting on their
Yeah.
outfits and they're dressing up and dancing around. But it's about expressing who you are from the inside out
Yeah.
and wearing that and being that. And it's funny you talk about that self-talk because it's putting yourself down. And there's
Mhm.
actually a term that would work really well with what you do. It's in the military. They call it when somebody's tearing somebody down, it's called dressing them down.
Oh.
So it's actually a term that, that they're dressing you down by putting you down.
Mm.
So it actually kind of works with what you're doing there. So
Yeah.
it's just a
That's true.
term, but
Thank you for telling me that. I'll use it.
You are welcome. You are welcome. And Lynn saying, preach it, soul sister. Lynn is with us. Hey, there you go. Thank you to all of our
Don't
military,
dress me down, boo. Don't dress me down.
our veterans and our first responders. We thank you all for everything you do, as
Yeah.
always. I'll tell you what, we
Hi,
are,
Ryan.
before we wrap up our show, I do want to, I want to make sure people know, check out your podcast. Find it on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern. And they could get you on your Facebook page and just go
Yeah.
to Debbie Bettendorf and you'll find it. Do you have a
Find
YouTube
it.
channel as well?
Yes, I'm trying to build that up. My gosh, that sucker's hard to build up. So any help I can get from y'all. I'm serious. I'm like, my gosh, I have thousands of people on Twitter and Facebook, and all of a sudden I'm like, what is with trying to get a person to click subscribe? I don't know.
I know
I
that's one of the
think
things we use. Lynn Serrano, she's one of the ones helping us to all put ourselves together and build each other's
Yes.
audiences and
Yes.
get good programming out there that is positive in its nature and not
Yeah.
just people deciding I can cuss on camera, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
what is the YouTube channel?
I did YouTube. It's just under Debbie Bettendorf. And you can
Excellent.
find it. You'll see it. Debbie Bettendorf, find it.
You can find it.
You can find it.
What am I finding? Find it.
Find
Okay,
it.
well
I
then
don't
I'll
know.
have
What
to
are
find
you trying to find? I don't know. You tell me.
I know exactly what I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find people like you in my world to join my tribe, that I could join your tribe.
Yeah.
And the more people that I meet who do the things that you do, who look at things from the outside and the inside and the in-betweens and the out-betweens and all the other places, it gives me hope.
Yeah.
It gives me hope. And I've seen the dark side and the hopeless side of life, and we've all had moments. Okay. We all have. I spent a little long time in my moments, but coming out of it and realizing there is so much light and love in this world from people like you, Debbie, that it inspires me to keep going and doing what I'm doing. So thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Your heart and your humor and your smile and your and your kids and just sharing your life so unabashedly. I love it. I love it.
Thank you. And same back to you. Same to you.
Well, thank you. Debbie is a true light. I agree with you. You are a true light.
So are you, man. Thank you.
So we do a little questionnaire with our guests and have a little fun with them. And once again, I apologize for those of you who didn't catch the beginning. Mary Kay got called away with some work stuff. She couldn't join us tonight. She'll be back next week. We'll get right back on track. And if you happen to catch the middle of the show when I went bye-bye, that's a combination of I got both Comcast and AT&T here, and they both crapped out.
I can't believe that.
It's crazy. It's Florida. I don't know. I think it's part of it's Florida too. They got gators eating through the wires or something. So there's a questionnaire that was done by James Lipton, who was a interviewer for the Actors Studio, and this was a questionnaire done by his mentor, Bernard Pivot from France. It's just something we ask. So we're going to get to know Debbie a little bit differently than a regular interview. So, Debbie, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word. Wow. I'll just say love.
Love. Okay. What is your least favorite word?
Oh my gosh. The first thing that came to my mind was moist.
Oh my God.
And it's just because Heather Bryant was on here. We have a whole thing about that word. And she doesn't like the word slaw.
Slaw?
Slaw, like cold slaw. Just bring the slaw.
Oh my God.
To the dinner.
Moist.
Yeah. So I guess I can concur. Moist isn't something that I love.
What turns you on emotionally and spiritually? What turns you on? When you're out in your life, what turns you on and gets you excited?
I think when I help people and I know that they got something out of it, that jacks me up. Like that.
You see that light come on.
Yeah. I'm just like, ooh, and even with my kids, when I see that I'm making an impact, because a lot of times they hear me all the time, and you can see that little look in their eye and they're like, ooh. But even in the community or whatever, that gets me excited. Like I feel like I am here to make a difference in a positive way. And I see it sometimes. And sometimes you don't know when you're making an impact, or you wonder if you even are. And when someone gives you the blessing of letting you know, it's like a wow moment, and it makes me excited and happy and joyful. And the other thing is, seeing women appreciate and build up other women, that gets me super pumped. Like, I'm like, hell
Excellent.
yeah, that is exactly what we need. We need to support one another and be happy for each other's successes. And I love that.
I think I can guess where the next question will go based on what you just said, but what turns you off?
Yeah. Um, I really, there are a couple of things. One is if someone acts like they're better than you.
Mm,
Um, if someone if someone acts like they're better than you, or if they put someone else down based on thinking that they are a hair better than that person, it's a huge turnoff. I think it's ugly. And
yeah.
I have very little respect, if any, and a disappointment toward a person that I see doing that, whether it's making fun of someone where they don't even realize they're being made fun of, acting like they're better than somebody else. And I don't like talking behind people's back. I just
That's,
think communicate with one
yeah,
another, get it out on the table, and then let it go.
absolutely. Absolutely. What is your favorite curse word?
Um, I think damn, because when Tori was 2, I must say it all the time.
Uh-huh.
She stomped down the stairs and every foot stomp was damn, damn, damn. And I told my mom, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Tori is 2." And she goes, "Well, you say it all the time." I'm like, "I do." So that must be it. Damn.
And damn could be
Damn.
controlled into a really harsh thing or into a kind of a funny thing. And
Yeah.
it's really an easy, I like that. Damn, that's a good one.
Damn.
What
Hot
noise do you
damn.
love? Is there a noise that you just love?
Laughter. That's
Yeah.
hilarious. I love to hear people laugh, and even if, like, I don't think it's funny, but they're laughing really well,
Yeah.
that's good. I love laughter. I also have learned to love Rain on the Roof. I love that too. I'm not a big
Oh, yeah.
Rain fan, but I kinda I'm evolving.
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling that with the rain on
Mhm.
the roof, and if you sit still enough, you can almost feel it like vibrate within you
Mhm.
because it creates a
Mhm.
frequency that's really cool. What's a noise that you hate?
I don't like to hear people chewing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think anybody
Like
anybody.
chips, like really like,
Yeah,
especially if it's an open mouth chew.
yeah.
It's not I don't love that.
No, not a fan either. Not a fan either. Okay. What profession, other than what you do now, if you had a chance, would you
Mm.
like to try?
Mm. Theater.
Oh, excellent. What is a profession that you would never, ever, ever want to even attempt?
Wow. Well, an accountant because
And
I don't even numbers, no. I would absolutely no, I couldn't do it. Accountant. Mm-mm.
fantastic. Final question. If heaven
Drum
exists,
roll.
if heaven exists, we'll make the perception or the supposition that heaven exists,
It does.
and you're at the pearly gates. What would you like God to say to you when you enter the pearly gates? What would you like God to say to you?
Debbie, you weren't perfect, but you did your best and you were kind to people. Come on in.
That's great. That is great. I appreciate you participating in that little
That was
little let's
fun.
get to
I've never had
know.
that. I was a little nervous. What are we gonna ask? What am I gonna say?
Well,
That
it's
was
just a
fun.
good way because it's hard. You can't fake these answers. I mean, they just
Yeah,
got to be a little bit of your true self.
yeah.
And yeah, we like doing that at the end. But
I
but
love it.
really, I really can't say enough because we're right towards the end now. First of all, thank you for everybody who tuned in. I mean,
Yes,
there's so many
thank God.
people, and certainly, your Tara was Tara and Tori and Lynn and Kellen and Kellyanne and Chris and Sandy and Joe. Yeah, all of you guys. Thank you all very, very much for tuning in. Debbie, thank you for taking time. I know you get really busy and you got other shows that you do and everything. It's just so nice to get to know you a little bit more and to really just kind of explore a little bit about finding your fabulous. We appreciate it.
I loved being here. Thank you. I feel very honored to be here and keep doing what you're doing and shining your light. Let's do this.
Let's do this. I'm sure we
Let's
will see
find
each
it.
other. We're going to find it. And you could find her. You could find her on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock with Find It. You can also catch her every once in a while on a Tuesday night. She pops in every couple of shows and graces all of us with her her inside and outer beauty is just
Aw,
and
I love you,
certainly
Scott.
she shows up and gets between people like me and Rex and Scott and the other guys, and it's a rose amongst thorns. Let me tell you right
I
now.
learn a lot. I learn a lot, really, honestly. I mean, I like to joke with you guys, but like it's really good stuff on that Tuesday night. I love it when I'm there.
Let me see. Trudy says, "Could
Fruity,
you do
tutti
numbers
frutti,
with a
fruity.
great tutor?"
She would tutor
Oh,
me in algebra in high school. She
oh yeah.
knows Debbie should not,
We don't want to be an
never
accountant.
be an
We don't.
accountant.
All right, so check Debbie out Wednesday. Debbie, once again, I want to thank you for joining us. Thank you for everybody out there being out there.
I
Any
love
final
stuff.
anything you want to leave people with before we sign off there?
Just catch yourself and how you talk to yourself. Switch it to a positive when you catch yourself saying something nasty to yourself, and find whatever you're looking for and love yourself.
Absolutely. Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your character. So please, just when you have the bad thoughts, change them over. Do something nice for yourself today. Do something nice for somebody else. You're always going to have a good day. Thanks for joining us right here on The Life Between All or Nothing. We'll see you next time.